Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is a beautiful January day here in Southwest Florida. It's a little chilly for my orchids. I'm just loving this. It's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a great day. I'm looking around, no clouds in the sky, just a jet overhead that you can probably hear. We're getting a lot of people. It's such a nice day. Everyone's doing yard work, so we may hear some equipment noises in the background. But just a great day here. Low humidity again. Wish it was higher for these guys. What I want to do today is share with you some of the excitement over some of my blooms on my orchids. I'm also excited for a few other reasons. I've shared with you before that I've got some first blooms coming out on some of my orchids. In some cases seedlings, in some cases plants that I've never seen bloom before. Are in bud. No flowers opened yet on those, so I'll bring those to you soon. The other thing is that when I was in the laboratory last week, the flasks just are looking great, and some of them are busting out of the seams. They need to be deflasked. So I'm having another Boeing deflasking party. So Boeing is the breeding group from my local affiliated orchid society, and membership is all excited. They're gonna be there, and that's tomorrow night. And I'll try to record some of that for you so you can see what's going on with the deflasking. Those have gone really well, and I'll continue to do that. But I've got some of the old orchids, some of the old flasked orchids that I've shared with you previously. I have some new ones, some new unique hybrids that I can't handle all of them, so I'm sharing them with my group, and it's going to be pretty exciting. All right, anyway, what I want to talk with you today is about a couple of these guys. And this one is right here, is actually the orchid that I've had in my collection for the longest time. So it doesn't look like it from the size of the plant. But this is Momilani Rainbow. And this was the first orchid that I had in my collection because it was gifted to me by somebody that I let use my laboratory, my old university laboratory. I let them use it for flasking, and they were so happy that they got to do flasking in my old university laboratory that they gave me a gift of orchids of an orchid. And at that time I really wasn't into it, and it did take me a few years for this the orchids to grow on me, and now it's grown on me, and it's pretty much consumed me, so it's pretty exciting. Anyway, Momilani Rainbow, again, was a gift. It was my first gift. I started out with one plant and ended up with, I think, about 6 or 7 plants through divisions that I just kept on giving away to people. It's incredibly prolific, and the nice thing about when I was growing this in the Midwest, probably for around, like I said, about 20 years, what would happen is I would put it outside in the summertime, and then in the winter I would bring it inside because it blooms. These guys can tell the time of the year, and it blooms in January. So it blooms in the wintertime, even in the Midwest US. So I had this plant. It would just put out new pseudobulbs in the summertime when I would have it outside. I'd have it hung in my trees, and I would bring it inside, and it would flower, and of course it's really nicely fragrant. So this is a great plant. I have a couple of plants that were growing on my date palms, and they got kind of big until Hurricane Ian struck, and it tended to really, it kind of knocked them down a little bit. So I have only one plant left on my date palm, and it's flowering, but it's a pretty big plant, but it only has this same number of flowers on it. It has 2 flowers right now, even though it's a huge plant, and a lot of the new growth didn't do really well. So I lost a lot of the plant from Ian, I think from the beating of the leaves or whatever. Fungal invasion, whatever caused it, I don't know. Still alive, it will continue to grow. I rescued the other one off my other date palm, and it is growing. Yeah, it's right there. Sorry, right there. And it's only growing one new pseudobulb out. Normally these guys, they're very vigorous and they put out a number of new bulbs, but there was a lot of damage from these guys. Anyway, this is a nice plant. There's a little bit of, it's a smaller flower. There's a little bit of flaring in the flower. And this year, depending on the year and the amount of sun that it gets, it can be either have this kind of a yellowish or orange color to it in addition to the flaring, or it can be a lot lighter in color, so you don't get the same amount of yellow or orange in the flower itself. But it used to be a very commonly grown orchid. It's it's very, very vigorous, very resistant. I've used it in a number of my crosses that I'm pretty excited about, and some of my first crosses that I've named actually had Momilani rainbow in the background. So it's a very good parent for crossing. One of the crosses of Momilani, one of the parents, I'm sorry, of Momilani rainbow is Orange Nugget, and that's where the orange coloration comes from. I'm not sure the other parent, but the other parent brings in name of the other parent, but the other parent brings in the flaring that's in the petal. So it's just a really nice plant. I like it. The flower's a little small, but the flaring and the nice contrast in colors is something that I really like. And again, this is the plant. This is the orchid that started me on my orchid journey, so it has special value and for me. Okay, the other one that I want to show you on this side of me is a monster. So this is this plant. This is not quite the oldest plant that I've had in my collection. This is Mishima Victory, and this is one of, I think this might be one of the first plants that orchids that I got when I arrived here in Southwest Florida. So I went to a local grower, picked it up. I don't even think it was blooming at the time, but I picked up this plant, and it consistently blooms every year this time of the year with these huge, fragrant, very colorful flowers. And I've also used Mishima Victory here for some of my crosses. I've selfed it. I've crossed it to other things because it has a lot of the features that I like. It's a big, vigorous, fragrant orchid. It only blooms once a year, one part of the year. And this right now, this also got damaged by the hurricane just a little bit, and it also got damaged by the cold weather that we had a few weeks ago. So I've got a flower bud that I think might have been the first one to come out on this when I was gone, and it's got some, I think it might have some cold damage associated with it, so it doesn't look like a good flower. I may use it as a source of polonium, but it just doesn't look, or I may, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use it to show some newbies how to make crosses, because the flower is really beat up and damaged. But this flower normally, I mean, look at how huge this flower is. Big frilly lip. It opens up nicely, a very consistent bloomer from year to year. And what I have is this plant. This plant is Momilani rainbow. I can pick it up. I can show it to you close up. You can see it with Mishima Victory. I can't do that because it is in a, I think it's probably a 20-inch pot. It's in a huge pot, and it's actually a clay pot. And the potting mix that I use in the clay pot is a combination of lava rock and leca. So it's really heavy. So it's in a huge pot. Now this plant, when I put it in here, it came out of, I think, maybe an 8-inch pot, and that was less than a year ago. So after it bloomed last, I put it in this pot, and it has, I think, tripled in size. I thought it was going to be loaded with, it put out so many pseudobulbs and so many, sheaths, that I thought that there would be, 20 blooms of this size on this plant. really vigorous plant. But what happened is it had some damage again from both the hurricane and from the cold. Yeah, that's what you deal with around here. But even with that, so there's a bloom, these two blooms here, there's a bloom on the other side of the plant. There is on top, there's another couple of flowers that'll probably be open in a week or two. On the back side, two more. So I think what this plant has been through, usually these things just put out a flush of blooms at the same time, but because of the stress that this plant has been through, it's going to be blooming probably over the next probably 2 months. It's going to be putting out new blooms. These blooms last a long time. Also really fragrant. So this is a great plant. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It was in a small pot before it went into this pot, and it's almost filled up the pot. It's getting to the edge, which is just incredible. Like I said, it's tripled in size in a year. It apparently likes being where I have it, and it's so heavy I can't hang it. So it's on a stand on the ground to keep it up above the ground. But it just is doing really, really well as far as the plant growth goes. And it would be just incredible blooms if it wouldn't have got hit with those, with the wind and the cold that we've had on these two different occasions. So, but I'm really happy to share two of the orchids that have been in my collection for the longest time, and I hope to soon be able to share some new blooms, both from my orchids in seed that I've grown from seed, but also some of those that have been in my collection that I haven't seen bloom before. So some newer additions to my collection. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you liked the video and you want to keep on seeing my videos, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel. All right, from a beautiful day in Southwest Florida in January, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and happy propagating.